Now, the main text that I'm going to be using, okay, is from Romans chapter 4, verse 8.
Good morning. You've reached the search department. How can I help you?
Yes, research department. Is this Kingdom Hall?
This is the search department at Patterson. May I
Okay.
help you?
Hi, Mr. Patterson. How are you? My name is Angelo.
Angelo, are you one of Jehovah's Witnesses?
No, actually, I was invited to go to Kingdom Hall, and I just wanted to ask you a quick question about, before I go to
Sure.
Kingdom Hall, I just wanted to ask you. I mean, just a brief question. I know that you're capable of answering, and that's why I even bother calling. It says over here, it really has to do with verse 8. But let me just be fair to Jehovah here. Page 459 of the book of Romans, and I'm just going to get to my question. Let me see if I could just read it. From the New World Translation of 1950, verse 5 says, on the other hand, to the man that does not work, but puts faith in him who declares the ungodly one righteous. And the question is coming in verse 8, his faith, look at what it says. It says, his faith is counted as righteousness. And then verse 6, and then my question is in verse 8, says, just as David also speaks of the happiness of the man to whom God counts righteous apart from works. And now verse 7, and I'm going to go to verse 8, says, happy are these who lawless deeds have been forgiven and whose sins have been covered. Now this is the question, okay? Now verse 8 says over here in the New World Translation, it says this, happy is the man whose sin Jehovah will by no means take into account. I don't have any problem with the verse, and I don't have any problem with you saying that the Greek word there, Kyrios, can be translated Jehovah. Let me just state this real quick, and then I'm going to get into my question. I'm pretty sure that you can answer it. Now, over here, the New World Translation, I just gave you verse 8. Now, if you read the Septuagint, I have the Sir Lancelot copy of the Septuagint, 1851. It says in the LXX, it says on page 749, it says, Onama soy Kyrios, okay? And it says over here, Manas usistos, okay? Attain gain. In other words, that's the Jehovah's Witnesses' famous verse, Psalm 83, verse 18. It says that there's no one called by that name, that he's the only one that has the name Jehovah. That's the Greek word Kyrios. But this is my question to you. Isn't that same Greek word used of Jesus when Thomas the twin said on page 350 of your New World Translation, when he called him Ha Kyrios Mu, Ha Theos Mu? So what do you have to say about that, really kindly, you know what I mean?
Are you attending meetings?
Yeah, well, I would love to have the address to attend a meeting and to see, how do you answer this question? Because I was invited by Jehovah's Witnesses to go to Kingdom Hall, but I just wanted to ask you, according to your knowledge and training, on the Greek word Kyrios can be translated into 3 different ways.
Right,
Mass.
Let me transfer you to the department that takes care of these questions. We handle things here that have to do with the organization of the congregations.
Okay, well, can I have the address before maybe I'll be disconnected or something like that? So can I have the address so I can attend any meetings?
Sure. That's located on all our websites if you want to, but I can look it up for you. What's your zip code?
Oh, sure. My zip code is 11691, sir. 11691. I live in Far Rockaway, Queens. So I'm not that far away. I'm from Brooklyn.
Hold on a second.
All right.
And when I transfer you, they may have you write in a letter regarding this, so you can get a letter in response to your question.
All right.
In fact, that's probably the best way to handle it, because then they can do the research and give you all the tools you need, and you can study the answer. The actual congregation name is Far Rockaway English, and it's located at 2360 Brookhaven Avenue.
2360 Brookhaven. Well, I was actually invited to go to the one in Brooklyn, though, because the people are going to be over there, though. I haven't seen them in a while, so I just wanted to go to the headquarters in Brooklyn, though, because they're going to be over there. So.
Who's going to be there?
Well, actually, I used to work in Dialogue in the Dark, and I don't know if you ever heard of that tour. And I had Jehovah's Witnesses, on my tour, about like 4 or 5 of them. And they invited me to go, because that's in Fulton Street, and they invited me to go to Brooklyn, which is not that far from there. And so, I just wanted to see, go to the Brooklyn one, to their headquarters, because they're not going to be in Far Rockaway.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Brooklyn Heights congregation is, let's see, where's this at? Brooklyn Heights area?
Yeah, I'm in Queens, so I know Kingdom Hall. Charles Taze Russell built Kingdom Hall, in Brooklyn in 1908, so I know it's there. So that's the main headquarters,
Yeah, well, there's 500 congregations in the city, so.
No, meaning, but I know that there's the headquarters at Kingdom Hall in Brooklyn, though, the main headquarters, So that's where I actually should have asked for the address. They probably thought that I knew where it was.
Yeah, it's called 107 Columbia Heights.
107.
That's the address.
Oh, 107 Columbia Heights.
107 Columbia Heights, Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
The meeting time is Thursday at 7:30 and Sunday at 10 a.m. Okay, Columbia Heights and Orange Street.
Okay, that'll help out a lot. Now, before you connect me to where you're gonna connect me, I just want to ask you a quick question. I'm not gonna make it long, because I know you have to go. But doesn't this? No. But let me just. But sir, let me just ask you.
Go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. No. Sure. Yeah. No. You can connect me. But I'm just saying that. Doesn't this disprove two things? Number one, that you can work for your salvation according to Romans chapter 4, verses 5, 6, and 7, and 8. That salvation is free according to Romans chapter 6, verse 23. And doesn't that disprove that when Jesus is called Kyrios, that he's not Jehovah, because he's called Kyrios several times in the Bible? So I just wanted to add that before you connect me and make God open up your eyes.
In terms of the research that's been given for the Greek or Hebrew, Aramaic or Hebrew words, we'll transfer you to this department, but you probably need to write a letter. Okay, the U.S. writing desk, they're all in the meeting right now, but they did request that you please write them, and they'd be happy to receive your letter and respond in an appropriate fashion.
All right, but before you let me go, so that means you're telling me that nobody can speak to me about this life and death issue, about works, and about the name of the Lord here? I mean, are you kidding me, right? So
we don't take calls from callers in the nature. Our way of responding is by letter. So that's our policy.
Yeah, but the thing is, before you hang up, and I hope you don't hang up on me. I'm not going to take too much of your time. But first of all, I just wanna say this, that sometimes you don't respond to the letters. You didn't respond to Ted Dencher's letter. So how are you going to respond to my letter? I mean, you're not going to respond.
Who is that?
Ted Dencher was a former Jehovah's Witness who wanted answers to his questions about Jehovah the Watchtower, a book that Walter Martin wrote. And it was, before you hang up on me, he saw the book Jehovah of the Watchtower by Walter Martin in Kingdom Hall. He read it. Before you let me go, he read it several times. Oh, he read it one time, and then he threw it across the floor. And then the Holy Spirit told him to take it and read it. And then he called the Watchtower Society, and they said that it was going to have answers for him, and they never returned. And that was a Jehovah's Witness that was a witness for 9 years. So you're going to tell me that they're gonna write me back, and they didn't even write Ted Dencher back, and he was a Jehovah's Witness. They didn't even write him back.
I don't know who Ted Dencher is. I'm just dealing with you on going right now, and we're telling you,
yeah.
personally, if you'd like an answer, please write a letter, and that's the final answer.
So, in other words, you're not equipped. You don't have any answers. You see, you don't have any answers.
The department, please listen. The department that handles these questions,
yeah,
is not available.
So, in other words,
in other words, they asked me to tell you to write.
So, in other words,
if you'd like to call again later,
yeah.
you may.
Okay, so I'll call later. Just feel sorry for you guys that they're not equipping you. They're not giving you true answers to give to Christian people.
I can't understand your questions. The one it's in writing, just like when the letters are written in the Bible, the things were done in writing, so it was clear and understandable.
Yeah, but you can't.
So your questions are not in writing, so we can't understand what you're saying.
Sir, what I'm trying to say is you don't understand my question when I said that Jesus is also called Kyrios in the Bible. You can't understand that that's the same name that the Septuagint translators used to translate Yahweh's name into Kyrios, and Jesus is called Kyrios. You can't understand that?
I don't have the research in front of me, but we'll be willing to look it up for you when you write.
So if you don't have the research in front of you, why are you Jehovah's Witness? Why are you trusting your eternal destiny on something you don't even know?
I have a feeling you're not calling for an answer, but you're calling to disrupt the unity of the congregation. So on that note, have a good day.
Well, you can hang up on me. That's okay. You see, guys, the unity. There's no unity in Kingdom Hall, okay? The unity. Oh, stop. He didn't have any answers. You mean to tell me that you're going to be in Kingdom Hall probably for years and you're going to die in there, okay? And you don't have any answers about who Jesus is? You're joking, right? There you go, guys. So this guy is trusting his eternal destiny on teachings by Charles Taze Russell and Joseph Franklin Rutherford and the present-day Jehovah's Witnesses, and he is willing to go to the lake of fire for a lie? He doesn't have any answers. He doesn't. The unity. I'm not trying to disrupt the unity or anything. I know that they're going to be united until Christ comes back, and then he's going to separate the goat from the sheep. There's going to be unity until Christ returns, okay? There's going to be always the imitation, okay? There's going to be always the tares in the midst of the wheat, the goats in the midst of the sheep, and stuff like that. And the goats having their own congregations. I don't care about that unity. They could be united all they want, but have some answers, okay? He didn't have any answers. That's all there is to it. Did he have any answers? No. He couldn't tell me. He didn't even know probably what the Greek word Kyrios meant. That could also be translated master and sir. I understand that. But in the context of Jesus, he is not a sir. He is a master. You can call him master, but that's not all he is. He's Jehovah God. Point blank. And in Septuagint, the famous verse, okay, all right, verse 18 of Psalm 83 says that, okay, that Jehovah is the only Jehovah. He's the only one called Jehovah, Yahweh. Okay, that's their pillar. That's their main verse. Okay, that's their main verse. Now he gave me the address, so I'm gonna go over there. Now I'm sick and tired of calling now. Now that was the last call. Forget it. That was it. Now I'm gonna meet the horse at the barn. That's it. Now I gotta see Mr. Ed. Okay, that's all there is to it. He didn't have any answers. He didn't know. Oh, there you go. So there you go. See, that's Kingdom Hall. You're trusting your eternal destiny on teachings that they don't know nothing about. They don't even know what they're teaching you guys. Now, the main text that I'm going to be using, okay, is from Romans chapter 4, verse 8.
Good morning. You've reached the search department. How can I help you?
Yes, research department. Is this Kingdom Hall?
This is the search department at Patterson.
Okay.
Can I help you?
I'm here. Page 459 of the book of Romans, and I'm just going to get to my question. Let me see if I could just read it. From the New World Translation of 1950, verse 5 says, on the other hand, too, the man that does not work, but puts faith in him who declares the ungodly one righteous. And the question is coming in verse 8, his faith, look at what it says. It says, his faith is counted as righteousness. And then verse 6, and then my question is in verse 8, says, just as David also speaks of the happiness of the man to whom God counts righteous apart from works. And now verse 7, and I'm going to go to verse 8, says, happy are these who lawless deeds have been forgiven and whose sins have been covered. Now this is the question, okay? Now verse 8 says over here in the New World Translation, it says this, happy is the man whose sin Jehovah will by no means take into account. I don't have any problem with the verse, and I don't have any problem with you saying, Mr. Patterson, how are you? My name is Angelo.
Angelo, are you one of Jehovah's Witnesses?
No, actually, I was invited to go to Kingdom Hall, and I just wanted to ask you a quick question about, before I go to Kingdom Hall, I just wanted to ask you, just a brief question. I know that you're capable of answering, and that's why I even bother calling. It says over here, it really has to do with verse 8, but let me just be fair to Jehovah.